let's move on because we do have some news to actually get to, Gary, and some big news. And it's news that like we've semi-known for some time, but it seems like it's more legitimate at this point as we talk about it. Errol Spence and Danny Garcia agree to a title fight slated for November, writes Mike Coppinger of The Athletic. We still don't know completely about venue because from the looks of it, they are still trying to get fans in attendance for this event because Spence has been a decent gate earner and draw in his last couple of fights in pay-per-view. So I'm not surprised they're going to maybe either wait off for some style of attendance or some limited amount of attendance. But Gary, your thoughts now on Spence, Danny Garcia in November, Fox pay-per-view. We don't know, location or venue or if that even matters at this point. Your thoughts?
I love the fight. It's two top 10, top 7 welterweights fighting each other, still in their prime. It's a great fight. And everyone's going to pick Spence, and I'm going to pick Spence too. But I feel like this is kind of like Canelo versus Jacobs. Right? It's a great fight. Jacobs has a chance, but everybody picks Canelo and Canelo wins, right? But like Garcia's got a chance in this fight. Like people underestimate Garcia because he came up short with Thurman and Porter. But like Garcia is going to be in this fight. He's going to have moments with his left hook. He's going to win rounds. This is not going to be something where Spence just walks right through him. Garcia is going to be very, very competitive in this fight. And I'd say I would take, Spence by unanimous, but close decision.
Yeah, I mean, even in Danny Garcia's losses, they haven't been shutouts.
He's been in both of them.
I know people, I don't think that they're right, but I know people that think that Danny beat Keith Thurman. I know people that think that Danny beat Sean Porter. This is not out of the question for someone to say that he can be competitive and win rounds against Errol Spence. I do think you're right in the same way that like it's Canelo Jacobs, where like it's clearly a really good, solid fight. It makes complete divisional sense. It's a fight that like needs to happen in terms of like probably like history and legacy for both guys in some fashion. Like if they were to never fight each other, it would feel wrong in some way. But clearly Spence is the favorite. Clearly more people are going to pick Spence in this matchup. I am curious about the boost with this one. When we talk about like the pandemic pay-per-view boost, this fight being so late into the year where presumably we're going to have NFL back and other, big mainstream sports. I wonder, and again, with the potential schedule of all the other pay-per-views in the market right now, we have not only box pay-per-views, but UFC pay-per-views. Does the pay-per-view market get oversaturated? And even if it does, is Spence Garcia going to fall victim to that oversaturation, or will it be one of the few events that still is successful?
I think it's going to do really well. I think it's going to do really well for a couple of reasons. I think Spence's star is escalating. Like I think each one of his fights is going to go up and up. Like I think his baseline now is probably 350. And then given an opponent like Danny Garcia, I think we could be looking at 500 pay-per-view sales given the situation. I really do. I think Spence's star is getting bigger and bigger. And Garcia has a fan base of Philly, which is a great fight city, Puerto Rican Americans. He's got a fan base, right? I know his numbers haven't done spectacularly better than, other fighters in that weight class, but he's got a fan base. Like I think this sells. And you can talk up the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry too in all this. I wanted to say
500,000, really? That's a lot.
That might be a little aggressive, but I'll say 500. That's my prediction, 500,000. I think it's the right time, and I think it's the right fight, and I think Spence is becoming a star. If you scored Garcia versus Porter for Garcia, I can see what you did there. You're just a bad judge, right? You just discredited everything Porter did on the inside. If you scored Garcia, for Garcia against one-time Keith Thurman, I don't know what you looked at. He didn't win that fight. There's no way you could have gotten him 7 rounds of that fight. That was impossible.
Hey, but some people think that, man.
I
know them in real life. I know them in real life, Gary. These aren't like fictional people on Twitter. No, like I know I was there for Thurman Garcia. Like you forget, like I was in attendance in New York for that one. And I remember walking out and some people thinking that Garcia won.
How did he win? Give me 7 rounds. You think you could even argue he won?
It's not me, Gary. I thought Thurman clearly won, but still.
The Porter fight, I can see you're just a bad judge, right? Like, okay, you didn't count anything Porter did on the inside. I see what you did. You're just not good at your job, right? But the third, there's no way he won that fight.
Yeah, Doug on the chat, Cali factor. Spence Garcia does 5.5 million pay-per-views.
I love it.
I think like 400,000 is a good guess at this point, if I have to guess. Because again, I think that this pandemic boost we've been seeing with the UFC pay-per-views, which I know maybe some boxing fans haven't been aware of, but that's legitimately it's been happening. I don't think that carries over as we get into September, October, November. I just don't think that happens anymore. I think that factor is greatly minimized when mainstream sports are back and we're competing with them again. Because no longer are truly casual fans going to be more interested in what we have to offer because they get what they want to see more often. They get to see basketball, or football, or baseball, or hockey. I don't know what else is coming back.
No hockey.
It's a joke.
And baseball's probably done with too. I mean, one team had 13 players infected and 4 coaches. So they've suspended their games for 4 days. Like that's going to do something. But you can't just say, okay, we'll get rid of one team. They're on a schedule.
Hey,
right?
they got minor league clubs. You can just bring the next guy up. You act like that's not going to happen. That's 1,000% going to happen.
Like there wasn't someone on this panel that says, what happens when half of the team gets infected? What happens then? Like, did they not plan for this at all? Did they think a viral disease going around guys who travel together, eat together, party together was an impossibility? Did they think that couldn't happen?
Did you see the wings that Lou Williams got from the strip club? Not the story, but just the wings themselves. Did you see a picture of the wings?
I know the story. I didn't see the wings.
Dude, the wings look so good. I understand. I get it. Dude, Lou Williams showed a video of the wings and the food he got. It looked heavenly. So, like, I get it. I 1,000% understand it. But digressing, I do think that those issues are going to be largely mitigated, especially with the mainstream sports, because they're more able to. Like, when a fighter falls out, let's say a week before a fight, the matchmaker has far less resources to sort of fall back on to get a good opponent or a good fight in order again, right?
Yeah.
Look at the Top Rank schedule and how much that was affected by this. Baseball, because of their minor league system, they shouldn't have an issue. And I even think like the way football is structured and the way so many guys get picked up on provisionary contracts where they just in there for a season or a game or a week, like that happens a lot where you get like 10-day contracts with athletes. I don't think we're going to run into an issue where like the NBA or MLB gets shut down completely. You might see a suspension of games and they just call up new players, take the other guys' spots, and they move the fuck on. I just see that happening.
I mean,
similar to boxing in a way. Like the Top Rank cards never were canceled. They kept going. Main events, not only that, main events and co-main events were canceled. And they just like, fuck it.
In boxing or individuals, you just pull that from the card, right? Mm-hmm. Baseball, you can pull up your farm system. Basketball, they're expanding rosters. In football, you can't. If your entire offensive line gets hurt against the virus, you're just going to substitute. You're going to get everyone on the team killed. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it in football because you can't just replace guys, right? It's a system. It's like Christmas lights. Matt's not old enough to remember Christmas lights. One went out. They all went out, right? Like, that's what football is. You can't just say, okay, put in a different quarterback and a whole new offensive line to be ready by Sunday. It doesn't work that way, right? Like, I'm telling you right now, football's going to test one time, and they're going to either say positive or negative. And if you're positive, you quarantine for 2 weeks and then come back. And they're not going to test anyone again. I'm telling you right now.
Wasn't the Patriots cornerback who caught the interception and won the Super Bowl way back and beat the Hawks? Wasn't he on like either a year contract, something like that? Like he wasn't on.
He was, and so was the receiver that caught 2 touchdown passes for Seattle in that Super Bowl. You can find examples, Matt.
Oh, lawyered.
You can find examples of anything, right?
That's not true. I cannot find examples of Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Anything that.
Anyways, digressing. Hold on. Quick shout out to Santiago with the super chat saying 5 minutes in. It's like 30 minutes in. It's going to be that way forever, I think, in this show. I'm in a silly mood. 5 minutes in, the show's already off to a raucous start. Not too shabby for a Wednesday. Almost makes up for not watching Spence Garcia live. Moving on. Let's get to this Pacquiao Crawford story. Unless you have anything else to talk about with Spence Garcia. Any other points, thoughts about that?
No, we're both taking Garcia by points. Preliminarily, is that how we're gonna?
Garcia on points? Was that?
No, it says. Did I say Garcia?
You did. You did.
Spence on points. Is that what we're both taking?
Yeah, if not a late TKO finish, but Danny's tough, so I don't think that happens.
Yeah.
Like if I was gonna say if Spence can't take out Mikey, then he can't take out Danny. But Mikey's tough too. Like Mikey's not somebody that's lost before Spence. So it's impossible to say that right now.